Good Friday morning. Welcome to Real Talk. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. This is an insider's guide to real estate across Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. We are live on the I Love CVille Network, powered by the Yes Team Realtors, Keith and Yonna Smith, trusted partners in the real estate game. Today's guest, we're very excited to welcome. Denise Ramey is going to be kind enough to join us in T-minus 20 seconds or so today on Real Talk to spotlight her journey in real estate. Before we do, we're going to welcome the Dapper Don. I know he loves that moniker. Keith Smith himself, kind enough to join us. Hello, good morning.
Hello, my friend. I can't not tell you, this is usually the highlight of my week. So
I'm excited to do it. You know I love this program as well. You've welcomed yet another rock star to the show.
I have, and I'm trying to figure out how to say what I want to say without getting myself into trouble with the beautiful woman that I live with. But I've been after this young lady for quite some time to join us, and no matter how that comes out of my mouth, it's probably going to get me into some level of trouble once the camera goes on her, because she's a bit of a rock star and an awfully fine woman to be around.
All right, fantastic. Studio camera, Judah Wickhauer, Denise Ramey now on the show. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning, Jerry and Keith.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good.
Excited to be here.
Excited to have you. So the first question we ask all our guests, who's Denise Ramey? What is she all about?
I would say Denise Ramey is first and foremost a family person. Love my kids, love my husband. It's the bedrock of my life and what I do, so I'm very blessed to have a very strong family. I'm a realtor. This is a chosen profession for me. It's something that I aspired to do when I lived in Florida 25 years ago and just couldn't make it happen at the time, so something I really enjoy. Also consider myself to be a volunteer, someone who likes to give back to the community and my profession, and I find that it enriches me professionally and personally, so enjoy spending time in a volunteer capacity. And I know I'm in Wahoo country, but I'm a huge Gator fan.
I know you are.
Those of you who know me know my license tag and can follow me around town. I am very proud of the University of Virginia and the school and how well they're doing with sports, but my heart is always with the Gators first. So I'm sorry about the bowl game. It was a great game. I was very proud of Mendenhall's team. I thought they put up a good fight. So those are the key points in my life.
I love it. So when did you get into real estate, and how have you seen the profession evolve? Like I said, kind of in the teaser of the show, you've built quite an impressive resume in a very short window. Throw that to you.
I got into real estate in 2006. People who knew me at the time thought I was crazy because that's when the market was a little tenuous. And my attitude was, I don't have to sell every house to make a good living. I just need to do the right things every day to build my business. And I have a business background. I was in sales with Bell South and with another telecommunications company here in town, Telos, which is now Shentel, I believe. So that's my background. I love sales. I found that the further I got away from dealing with the actual client, the less rewarding sales was for me, and so that's what I love about real estate. Many people ask me why I haven't opened my own firm or become more of a managing broker. I like interacting with the client. I like selling real estate.
You love human connection.
I do. I like helping people achieve their goals, and it's very gratifying to me to see people get excited about what we do. So this is what I love. Can't see myself ever retiring.
Well, that's a good thing to say, isn't it? So we always bring rock stars on. We talk about this all the time on the show, and Denise is clearly one of them. You know, we try to focus on people that on the other side of this table that are in the relationship business, right? Not necessarily in the transaction business. And Denise is clearly in that ballpark. But I was reading your bio a little bit, just a little interesting interpersonal connection. So you were born in Iceland, which is a pretty cool thing to say. Yonna, my wife's first name, is actually Icelandic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the story behind that is, so my wife's Austrian, little short version of it. My wife is Austrian. Her father was a VP of Bank Austria. She was actually born in Beirut, Lebanon. I will not tell the year because I'll get myself into trouble, but she was born in
1975.
1975.
She's a baby.
She's a baby. But her mother was reading a book written by an Icelandic author who the main character's name was Yonna. So everybody kind of asks, where did she get that name from? And it is, so there's a connection here.
Wow.
It's amazing how small the world will be. And I've noticed looking at it, so naval, your dad was in the Navy?
He was.
Cool,
He was
talk
a naval
about that.
officer. He retired in the mid-'70s, but he was a tactical coordinator on P-3s, which was anti-submarine warfare.
Cool.
So it was a great way for me to grow up. We moved every 2 or 3 years, which I said positioned me well for this business. We lived all over the country, from Jacksonville, Florida, which I consider home, to Monterey, California, Brunswick, Maine, Alabama. We've been all over the place. And we were only in Iceland for 6 months, so I can't say that it's...
Apparently it was enough time to get born.
Yes. Just enough.
So our oldest daughter was born in Ottawa, Canada, because I was stationed at the embassy at that point. One of our favorite places in the world is Fernandina Beach, which is a little north of Jacksonville. So we love that part of Florida very much
Beautiful. I consider that old school Florida.
so. Oh, yeah.
Everything's changed so much in the South, and so the Panhandle and Jacksonville are still very much the same as when I grew up, and I love going home. My dad's in Ocala, so about an hour
yeah.
south of
Cool.
Jacksonville.
Yonna says, we are so kind. She says, I'm very, very proud of my mature 57 years on this earth.
Oh.
Yonna says, thank
She
you
gave
for
the
joining
number.
us.
I didn't
Thank
do
you
it.
for joining
I
us on Real Talk. Denise, you're getting some props from Anthony Gerard. Lisa, your colleague, says hello, hello, hello. Mary McCombsey says, Denise, go, girl, go. Neil Williamson, our colleague watching the program. Neil, we love your content. Hello, Chris Jensen. 5 different real estate firms watching the program as we speak. Now Logan Foster. Logan Foster feels like home.
Yes.
Tell us why.
I moved to Long & Foster almost 6 years ago when they first came to Charlottesville, and I knew many of the principals at Long & Foster through my volunteer roles at the state, and there were a lot of things about the company that made sense to me. I'm primarily a listing agent, and I love the exposure that I get from Long & Foster online, so that was definitely a plus for me making that move. But I love the fact that Mr. Foster is a VMI grad, and he's in his mid-80s, and he still comes to work every day in Chantilly, and his nephew is our president, and his nephew's sister, Rachel, is our managing broker. So it's still very much a family company, even though there are 13,000 agents in the Mid-Atlantic, and we're now owned by Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett. So a lot of good benefits come along with being a member of the Long & Foster family, and I really enjoy it.
So when you did your intro, you kind of glassed over some really awesome stuff that you do, right? So you are extremely active in the Virginia Real Estate Association. If I remember this correctly, you're 3rd in line for presidency. Is that correct? You're vice president. So that means 2 years from now you will be the president of
As long as I stay out of trouble, I say.
Which I think you will.
Maybe. And then I learned yesterday, you're very active in the national level. So I'd love if you could spend a couple minutes just tell me about the awesome stuff you're doing for us and the market on the whole, in the VR side of it and the national, and maybe we can bounce a few questions back and forth.
Well, we have a lot of great mentors here in Charlottesville who kind of led the way for volunteering. Carol Clark, Percy Montague, Michael Guthrie. I've had a lot of great mentors in my career, and they all encouraged me to get involved and volunteer. Trish Owens was actually the first person who took me to a car meeting in 2006 when I got into real estate. So there's a long history of volunteerism here in Charlottesville, and I'm very proud of that. And we're well recognized around the state and around the country for the great job that we do supporting our realtors locally. I got involved at the state level. I ran for board of directors a couple years ago and found that to be very interesting. I like to have a seat at the table when we're making decisions and influencing what happens to our 35,000 members around the Commonwealth. We are the largest trade association in the United States with 1.4 million member realtors, and we're the largest trade association in the Commonwealth of Virginia with 35,000 members. So it was important to me in running my business and, planning this to be my career for obviously the long term, to make sure I understood what was happening at the state and national level, and also was representing our members with decisions that were being made. So ran for the board. I was encouraged by some friends of mine in leadership at the Virginia Realtors to throw my name in the hat for vice president last year. Wasn't something I had intended to do. I'm pretty busy with my real estate practice, but I threw my name in the hat and fortunately was elected by the board. And in 2022, I will be president of the Virginia Realtors as long as I do a good job as vice president and president-elect. So I'm very excited about it.
Pretty sure you're going to do a good job. So, I often say that I'm a volaholic. I think she's got me beat.
You guys both volunteer a lot.
We do. Well, we're in an industry, I think, that we can do that. We're blessed with the ability to do that, and Denise has the talents also, which is extremely helpful. I've had the pleasure of sitting on a couple of committees where Denise chaired it, and I can tell you they ran very smoothly and efficiently, which is an appreciated thing. So I think you're opening up a new shop in Crozet. This is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about it. Kind of the genesis of it, how you got there, when is the grand opening, which I think is soon, and kind of what made you think, what was the decision-making matrix to do that? I'm very curious because as we walked over, this is something we're thinking about doing, so I'm just curious.
So our office with Long & Foster is at Old Ivy, and I think we have 50 realtors in our office there.
It's busy there.
It is busy there.
Yeah.
It is. But I live in Old Trail, and I transact about 50 to 75% of my business in Western Albemarle. So it's always been my goal to have an office in Western Albemarle, and I've been looking for 3 or 4 years. The credit union on 250 across from Harris Teeter was giving up their space. Benton Downer, fellow realtor, former president of the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, is a friend of mine. He gave me a call, said the spot was opening up, and I grabbed it. And we started construction last September when the credit union moved out. My son, Casey, is a licensed contractor now, Class B contractor.
He's the son that bought the house?
Yes.
Nice.
Bought the house.
He's killing it.
He is. He's doing great, renovating the house. I'm really proud of him. It's something that we as an industry really need to focus more on, is encouraging people to go into the trades and not necessarily pursue a 4-year college degree. I have to say I was devastated when he told me he was dropping out of college, but we decided to flip a house together. He did an amazing job, and with that, he got inspired to take his exam and become a Class B contractor. So I'm sending him a lot of business. He does a great job for our clients, but he actually did the renovation of our office. So he started in October. We gutted a lot of the credit union had been there for 15 years, so it needed a refresh. And we're actually in Charlottesville. The address is a Charlottesville address, which I think is important because we do business all over Central Virginia. We have listings from Greene County to Nelson County. But as I said, we do a lot of business in Western Albemarle, so it was important to me to kind of put a stake in the ground and also a little more convenient location for me to get to and from work. We work a lot of long hours in real estate, as Keith can attest. And
not me.
If I'm in the office at 7 o'clock, Yonna, you can attest to that.
Yes.
It's easier for me to be 10 minutes from home, so it's been great, and the reception has been wonderful. We are really struggling with getting our signage on the building. It's been a little bit frustrating getting the approval from the county, but we think that we'll have signage in a couple of weeks, and so we're planning for our official grand opening with the other merchants in the shopping center. There are 3 new restaurants in the shopping center, which we're really excited about, new hair salon, so we'll plan for our grand opening in March.
Yonna says, I do work hard, Keith.
She
and
does.
very long hours.
She does.
Okay, she's watching. Be careful.
I know. She works very hard in long hours keeping me straight. That's really what it's about. Yeah. So this funny thing about the trade thing, that's something I'm a little bit passionate about. So to tell a story, my little brother, I'm the oldest of 5. My little brother is a high-end trim carpenter in Richmond.
Really?
And I will tell you, he makes more money than doctors do.
And he should, to have that skill.
I call him, he's like a surgeon. He shows up with his little bags. It's no matter how we get in this world, you're never going to be able to do that with this phone.
Yeah.
I don't think you will. You may be able to 3D print houses, which you can do now out of concrete and all that neat stuff. But the skill, the craftsmanship. Is that I was, it's kind of like I was Vincent Zorn, who was on your
Sure.
show. I was watching him play guitar the other day, and I leaned over to him and I said, it's really good to watch a master at his or her craft. And there's not that many masters at crafts out there, so. I think it was, and I offer my condolences to your son for getting into the contracting business. He should have followed his mom's suggestion and went into real estate. Just saying.
Well, I'm hoping he's learning
That's a
that
joke. I'm
it's
just
very
kidding.
tough work.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure he's going to eventually do that.
He's
a
doing-
contractor with a real estate license, maybe? I mean, that's pretty nice.
I would love that. I would
Yeah.
love that. But he is a perfectionist. He does not like bringing other people in to do the job that he's contracted to do. So that's one of the things that I'm most proud about with him. He has a really strong work ethic, and he's a perfectionist, so he does a great job.
Charlene Davis, thank you for watching. She's giving you some props. Jory Reese, thank you for watching. Jessica Russo, welcome to the program. Harold Martin, the owner of Cavalier Carpets, watching this portion of the program thanks to Mac Weems State Farm.
Yeah, so we're going to bring Mac in sometime in February. February is going to be a new construction focused month, and she's going to talk a little bit about that on the insurance side, plus bring in another guest with it. So we love having Mac on board.
Another one of our fabulous sponsors has a question, in fact, for Denise. Michael Buchensky, a fabulous broker, mortgage broker at First Heritage Mortgage, watching the show. First Heritage Mortgage, thank you for being a part of the show. He says, Denise, with the large growth in Crozet and the projected continued population growth, have either you or Keith heard of any plans for the much-needed infrastructure expansion, specifically roads and public transit in our home, in our community? The Buchinskis also live in Crozet. That's a good question.
They do, and Mike's a great lender. We work with Mike often with our clients and appreciate his partnership with our clients. So, Mike, as you know, there's a constant, at least weekly, monthly meeting with regard to the Crozet Master Plan, with everything that's happening in Crozet. And I don't know specifically what's planned for the roads. My goal would be for those of you who attend these meetings, obviously, to have influence. I know they're being listened to. I know Frank Stoner's done a great job with downtown Crozet and
Barnes
involving
Lumberyard.
Yep, the Crozet Community Advisory Committee. They're very active. I think they are the poster children for community involvement as far as helping to influence the master plan. But I don't have any specifics I can share. It might be a great group to bring on someone from the advisory committee, Keith, to speak to something more specifically about what's happening with the infrastructure.
So I actually was in a meeting yesterday where that topic came up in one of my volaholic roles that I was playing yesterday. So I can say at the Albemarle County board level, this is a discussion that they're having. I think I'd be more interested in bringing Brad Sheffield in from Jaunt, to try to see if there's any additional work coming along on the mass transit level of it. For those who are not aware of it, Jaunt is doing these new connect routes, right? And I believe one of them is out of Crozet into downtown, which is a really neat thing.
And the ridership has been great. I was sitting at the hair salon talking to the woman who works for Jaunt, who oversees the routes and is checking on ridership to see, obviously, if things can be, if they should grow the routes. And from what she said, they're very happy with the ridership out of Crozet. There's actually several spots you can jump on the Crozet Connect. And she said the maximum time anyone would spend on the connector bus to get into town is 45 minutes.
Correct.
So I think it's a great idea.
And they've just released that they're bringing in some all-electric buses on, which is pretty hip and pretty cool. We talk about affordable housing quite a bit on this show, and we can never separate the two, transit and affordable housing. So, from my perspective, we're in front of it. Mike, I appreciate the question. Stay tuned. We're going to start bringing some folks on board that are experts in this field to help us out.
Julie Ballard says, I'm watching Keith Smith and Real Talk every single Friday morning. This is now on my calendar. I learn from this show. Thank you, Julie, for
I'm
being
flattered.
part of the
Thank you.
show.
Thank you.
Amanda Terplowski watching. Jill, one of your team members watching. I see a number of Logan Foster agents on the stream as we speak. How about this? You strategically position your brand in a booming part of the market, Western Albemarle. You've done a great job of cornering this market. Did you know or have the vision or forecast that this is where you needed to be, or was it a little bit of luck? You happen to live in the community? I mean, it really played out well for you here, Western Albemarle.
It was good timing. I lived in Glenmore, actually, prior to moving to Old Trail. I moved to Old Trail in 2008, and I wish I could say I had a master plan. I didn't. It's a great place to live, and it's obviously one of the designated growth areas in the county. There are 3 designated growth areas, and Crozet happens to be one. So the market has obviously exploded in Western Albemarle. So it was fortuitous that I was there. I think doing business with your neighbors is one of the benefits of being in real estate, and I am so proud of the fact that so many of my neighbors ask me to represent them in one of the most important transactions that they have financially. So I think it's been a little bit of luck, and as you do, I like to brand. I have a background in sales and marketing with companies, and I think it's very important to decide who you want to be, brand yourself, and stick to it. And I think Lisa, who's on my team, she's done a great job. She's worked with me for the last 5 years. She does all of our marketing, social media, advertising. She's very good about making sure we stay consistent in what we do, and we look consistent in everything that we do. So I'm blessed to have her keeping me between the bumpers. Jill as well. I run very hard, very fast, and I have a great team that supports me, and that's how we've been able to grow to the extent that we have. My husband joined me 1.5 years ago in real estate, so like Keith and Yonna, that makes life a whole lot easier to go to work every day. And
sometimes challenging.
we're still newlyweds, so for us, it's...
My wife works in this business too. Sometimes challenging is fair.
That's
I'm going to leave it at that. She's watching right now. I love you, honey.
A good word. Totally on my wife's part, not on my part, because I'm just trying to keep up with her. She's awesome.
My wife does all the stuff that I am not good at.
Yeah.
And she exceeds at all that stuff. She's,
successful
at it.
That's why you're successful. Everybody knows their relationships and what they're good at and what they're not good at.
That's right.
And they go and do that. So switch gears a little bit to more Virginia Realtor market stuff. Lisa, I always mispronounce her last name.
Sturdivant.
Thank you.
Chief Economist.
Thank you. Is changed up how they're doing things a little bit this year. Instead of looking backwards or looking forward, which is... and I think Denise was looking forward when she moved out to Crozet. She's a smart young lady and was seeing the market trends and all that stuff. So a little bit of forecasting, right, for 2020. Mm-hmm. She put out a really neat infographic, yeah, and I'm sure Judah, our awesome producer / director /
Judah, you want to get that on screen, the infographic, if you could?
We'll throw that up there. But every one of the major indicators got arrows going up. Mm-hmm. And it had a conversation on the way in this morning, actually, with the 2 pretty reputable, hard-producing real estate attorneys, closing attorneys. And their January closings have outpaced any closing that they've ever done. And some of these guys are, like one of them is Bill Tucker, who sponsors us, has said he's never, in the 100 years he's been doing this, has never had a January like this. So the market is just kind of moving along. Love your opinion on that. Do you think we're kind of going to plateau a little bit? Are we going to start going slowly up, or whatever you're comfortable with sharing on your opinion of the market?
Well, I defer to the experts on these matters, and Lisa was a huge coup for the Virginia Realtors to be able to hire her.
Oh, yeah.
She was acting as a consultant for the Virginia Realtors for a year, and we found that in one of our strategic objectives for the Virginia Association of Realtors is to be the voice of real estate in the Commonwealth. And in order to do that, we need to be the resource that people turn to when they have questions about how Amazon coming to Northern Virginia will impact the housing market. How would sequestration impact the housing market in Hampton Roads? And so more and more we found that Lisa was being called upon, and she was very much in high demand, so we're very thankful that she was able to join us full-time effective January 1. She is hesitant to prognosticate because obviously once you put something like this in writing, then people look at it as your
Sure.
scorecard at the
right.
end of the year. But she's a very smart woman. She's has her doctorate in economics, and so I think her projections are conservative. The one thing that concerns me is if you look at this infographic, housing pricing keeps going up.
Yeah.
And obviously for our sellers, they're very happy about that. We have an affordability issue around the Commonwealth and in the Charlottesville area. So when we talk about affordability with our legislators, we at CAR had the opportunity to go to Richmond last week for our day on the Hill, and we met with Cree Deeds and Sally Hudson and Rob Bell.
Mm-hmm.
This is an issue that we bring up consistently and that they ask us about. We've got to find a way to obviously help more people get into the housing market. And so when you look at things that are impacting first-time home buyers or people being able to move into the market, one is price, but another is student loan debt. We had Denver Riggleman meet with the CAR Realtors yesterday, and he's our 5th District Congressman and represents from Fauquier County down
Huge
to
district.
North Carolina. And he talked...
It's larger tthan most states.
Yeah, it is. It's larger than New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes. He talked a little bit, one of our members asked him about how student loan debt was, or mentioned to him how much student loan debt was impacting our business, and he talked about some solutions that they're working at the national level to try to help reduce the student loan debt impact. So I would say with Lisa's projections, I'm comfortable that we're continuing to grow as far as our home pricing, our new housing starts. It's great to see that we're up 9% year over year in housing starts. So I think we're finally starting to gain some traction there, which will help us with availability of inventory. Mortgage rates staying low, job growth. Those are all positive indicators. So from the national level, Lawrence Yoon is our chief economist with NAR, and at the state level, nobody's predicting that we'll see a significant slowdown in housing sales or a decrease in pricing. So obviously that could change if anything at the national level happens economically, but all indicators are very strong right now. I will say one of the things that I'm most passionate about in my volunteer role is political advocacy. So Keith mentioned that I serve at the national level on a committee. That committee that I serve on is for the Realtor Political Action Committee Participation Council. And so my goal, serving on that committee for the state of Virginia, is to bring more realtors into the fold as far as helping us advocate for property rights issues for our clients. We, as I said, have the largest trade organization in the Commonwealth with 35,000 members, so our voice is very important. When we respond to a call for action and ask our elected officials to support us in a vote on issues that are important to us, like the rain tax, which Neil was very helpful in helping us influence the vote on that locally. Realtors' voices are heard when we participate in mass in the political advocacy process. So one of the challenges that I have is just getting more realtors aware of and involved in what we're doing to influence issues that affect our clients and our business. Biggest issue for realtors this year that we're working hard to advocate at a state level, and we've had some success, is association health care. Realtors are self-employed, and for those who don't know that, for us to buy health insurance as a self-employed 1099 employee is cost prohibitive. For me individually to pay for insurance without being in a group plan, it's almost $1,000 a month. So
I had a wife and a 2-year-old to
yes,
that plan.
well, you know the pain, absolutely. So
And 1,000 is light, by the way.
Yeah, 1,000 is essentially catastrophic. I don't know
Yeah.
for you, but it's
Yeah.
essentially catastrophic insurance, right?
Right. And so 20 to 25% of our members go without health insurance for that reason. They're rolling the dice saying, unless I get breast cancer or colon
hit by a
cancer
car.
or something terrible happens, it's cheaper for me not to pay for insurance.
And then pay the fine.
So Yonna and I's
Exactly.
health insurance has a 4 in front of those zeros
Oh, my
instead of a
goodness.
1.
Well,
For just you and her? Jeebus.
Yeah, I'm old.
Wow.
Yeah.
so here's what we're doing for our members. We have a great lobbying team in Richmond, and as of yesterday, they have been lobbying the elected officials to allow us to buy group health insurance as an association. So with 35,000 members, we would have great buying
Huge
power for
purchasing
insurance.
power.
The Senate voted almost unanimously to approve our association health plan bill. It's moving over to the House now, so we're hopeful that with the great lobbying efforts we have and with our realtor members who have spoken to their elected officials about how important this is to us, that we'll be successful in allowing our members sometime in the near future to take advantage of the group health insurance buying power.
That's huge.
So this is why we encourage other real estate agents, or anybody for that matter, to get engaged, because you can influence that. You can, somebody like with Denise's skills and capabilities, I watched her yesterday work the room. I mean, she's able to communicate what she just said in front of decision makers, right? We spent the day on the Day on the Hill, where she communicates with legislators, and, don't think you can't do it, because you can, right? So a little bit of sharing of information. Congressman Riggleman is actually going to come on the show.
Nice. Fantastic.
Going to sit in that seat over there,
great.
and then have him talk a little bit about that. I didn't let him leave the room until he agreed.
Nice.
So it also helps his campaign manager as a fellow Marine, so we hooked up and got it taken care of. But so he's going to come in sometime in March and talk about high level.
Big time guest for you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm trying to get better, buddy.
Impressive.
Yeah, thank you. So I would not be so concerned about sharing leases numbers, because NARs is almost the same, right? So they're projecting unemployment to pretty much stay stable. Everybody knows full employment is at 6% or thereabouts, where they're projecting 3.8% in 2020. And everybody asks me offline, when we're going to get another recession, And until somebody, we've been talking about this all month, until somebody chimes in and says this statistic is incorrect, I don't believe there's ever been a recession when we had full employment or under. So, this is all an inventory issue.
No supply.
This is basic supply and demand stuff. When I met Denise this morning, I was trying to read up on a little bit of some work going on in Minneapolis and out in Seattle, where they're trying to increase density. I know there was a couple of bills that were floating around at the state level, which I found out this morning didn't make it out of committee. But
Interestingly, and I'm going to throw this to you. Interestingly, the Home Builders Association was using their influence to help keep those bills to get out of committee. I found that very interesting.
Well, so one needs to read these in depth. This one needed to die.
Okay.
But it's coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back. It needed to be retweaked and all that stuff. So again, sharing some of the first Friday of what's next month, February, I'm going to have the current president of the Blue Ridge Home Builders Association and the past president. So we're going to talk a little bit about new construction and their involvement in it. So Denise, you're a rock star, right? So we asked this question all month long. Where is the next Crozet? Where do you see?
I love this question.
Yeah, I know you do. Where do you see the next, your crystal ball? Well, I don't, boom is a strong word, but, where do you see it? Now, if you're uncomfortable answering, that's cool.
No, I think we're in the middle of it. I mean, I think there's still a lot of growth to come in Western Albemarle, in the Pantops area, and in Northern Albemarle, the three areas that the county has designated growth areas. I think it's a smart decision, because to keep the rest of the county in a more rural feel is important. People come here because they love Charlottesville. They love the mountains. They love the vineyards. And I think if we didn't control the growth into specific areas like the county has done, we would lose what makes this area so attractive to people. So I see we've got double the number of people who will be moving into the Crozet area over the next 10 years. So I don't see that that's slowing down or changing. What I'm happy to see is that we have more rental inventory coming on in some of these areas. To find an apartment or a rental in Crozet is challenging, and we have 2 big apartment complexes that are under construction now that'll be opening the end of this year, early next year. So hopefully that will help with the affordability issue. The growth isn't slowing down, and I'm thankful for that, for our home builder friends and for our realtor friends and for all the businesses that are impacted. For those of you who may not know this, every time a home sale is transacted,
I love this stat.
the impact to the economy is somewhere in the range of $75,000 to $90,000. And when you think about it, it's everything from that homeowner buying new appliances or potentially replacing their flooring or a new roof going on the house, the builder getting paid for the work that they've done. So the housing industry success is something that all of us benefit from. So to have that kind of economic impact for every transaction that occurs in real estate is, as Denver Riggleman said yesterday, real estate is kind of the bedrock of the economy, and it's important for us to understand that. I know there are a lot of people that don't like the growth that's occurring in some of the areas. Having lived in Old Trail for 12 years, I always hear from people saying, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea this neighborhood was going to be so big." Well, it's been part of the master plan for 15 years, so I think making sure we as realtors do a good job educating our clients when we're showing property and making sure they understand the long-term plan for the areas that they're looking at is incumbent upon us. And I guess I'll segue with that by saying one of the strategic objectives for the local Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, the Virginia Association of Realtors, and the National Association of Realtors is always improving and increasing the professionalism of our realtor members. We're all self-employed, or most of us are self-employed. We do have to take continuing education classes to maintain our license, but there's more to being an advocate for your clients and a strong realtor than just taking your 16 hours of CE. So the more we can do to increase the professionalism of our members, it benefits all of us. I read a statistic a couple weeks ago that realtors are thought of about the same as a used car salesman. When you look at how well respected our profession is, we're kind of at the bottom of the list.
I believe we're actually below used car salesman.
That's even
if you
more
take
sad.
I'm sorry, but I believe that's the actual fact. So Tom, our Walfolk, our president, was here on the first Friday of this month, and his focus is on raising professionalism. So I'm glad that you said that. But I'm glad you chimed out about new construction. As you know, this is my DNA, right? I'm one of these guys with the Class A contractor's license and real estate license. So, what we're finding out in the new construction space is it's growing out of the center of Charlottesville, right? So when you have some of the larger guys going to the other side of the mountain, Greene County, Fulvana County, in the Zions Crossroads area. So you're starting to see that, and we talk about this on the show all the time, and I'm not a big fan of the term, but it's descriptive. Everybody's now driving till they can qualify. So you're starting to see that, and there's years of background infrastructure that's been going in. Mike asked the question about infrastructure. We talked about this about Zions Crossroads. That many years ago, VDOT put this divergent diamond interchange in. There's 400,000 gallons of water on the way to it. There's high-speed internet. So I think you're going to start seeing these outlying areas starting to grow a little bit, which then raises the question of transportation, right? Mm-hmm. So how am I going to get from the other side of the mountain to UVA or so forth and so on. But I think you're going to start seeing this area grow. One of the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors pointed out to me in a meeting yesterday that the urban ring, I may have the statistic a little off.
Neil's watching.
And
Neil
will correct me.
Yeah.
The urban ring, as far as density is like 2 or 3 times the number of individuals than the actual city. And Neil probably knows the exact numbers, and he'll probably chime in.
What was the stat again?
Excuse me?
What was the metric again?
People, right? The number of people. So the urban ring that goes around Charlottesville has more people in it multiple times than the actual number of people in the city.
Get out.
I believe it, and Neil will chime
And
in.
the city of Charlottesville is roughly 49K.
Roughly
Say
50.
50K.
Yeah.
So you're saying anywhere from 100 to 150K in the urban ring. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's about right. So that pressure is starting to push out a little bit on it. So thank you for sharing. We kind of throw that into this month to see what everybody's little crystal ball is saying, and
We got some predictions on the stream.
Cool.
Anthony Gerard of Long and Foster says, I think it's going to be Waynesboro. Waynesboro is going to be where the boom is. We have Tim, who works on the other side of the mountain as a real estate agent. He says, look at Greene County. I think me personally, it's going to be Greene County with the Ryan Holmes development. I mean, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with that new construction. You think it's Zion's Crossroads?
No, I don't disagree with you. I think it's going to be twofold.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Greene, and the reason why Greene, I think, is going to happen is the Board of Supervisors from Albemarle County kind of get this northern corridor, right? You're going to have a couple of major subdivisions stepping stone its way out towards Greene County. So Greene County is going to, the pressure for growth on Greene County is going to continue to do that. The same thing with Zion's Crossroads, because they have these corridors that will take us or you into Charlottesville. I think the other side of the mountain will also continue, but when you have all the big national builders,
Yeah, when Ryan's doing stuff.
and Atlantic,
Yeah.
which,
What do you think?
Well, Tony's actually the listing agent on my team who runs our Valley office and represents a builder in the Valley who does a great job, Scott Hudson. And it's interesting for me to see the quality of product that the builder he represents can deliver because the land is so much cheaper.
Sure.
In Waynesboro. And, he can deliver a beautiful home for 20% less than what we can deliver one for in the Albemarle County area. And it goes back to regulation. I have this debate with friends and family, and Steve Harvey is the outreach director for Denver Riggleman. He was there yesterday.
You backed him.
I did.
In the Board of Supervisors race.
And
You were very vocal.
The reason I backed him was because he's all about cutting through the red tape of regulation with Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville. And the builder, I represent Arcadia Builders, Domenico Dauria. Some of the things, the hoops that I see him have to jump through to get a home delivered, and the money that it costs these builders to connect to sewer and water. I mean, I don't know if most people know this, but it's, $15,000, $20,000 in some areas. And so
crazy.
we talk about being able to deliver an affordable home. Waynesboro gets it.
Yeah.
They don't have the same fees, and so Scott can deliver a home to a new home buyer at a lower price. So I supported Steve because he was anti regulation and trying to cut through the red tape for these builders. And I think it's something we have to focus on. I think it's something that we don't see a lot of movement on. And I think if you're not a business person and you're not a realtor and you're not a builder, you can minimize how important that is to delivering a home and delivering an affordable home to people. But, we have a lack of inventory issue, and a big part of that lack of inventory issue is the builders being able to deliver a home at a price point that home buyers can afford. If the average price of a home that the average person making $60,000 in Charlottesville can afford is $250,000, our median sale price is over $300,000. So there's got to be a solution that cuts through the red tape, cuts through the cost to the developers and the builders so that they can more quickly deliver product. Kudos to Frank Stoner. I've watched him with the whole Crozet thing for years. I think any other person would have given up, with the amount of time that it's taken to get through the hoops to make it happen in downtown Crozet. But Laughlin Hill, another example, Greg Slater, who's watching.
He's watching right now.
And I represent builders who deliver product in there. And last month, I had a home sale delayed because of a water meter issue with the city of Charlottesville, which I would have thrown my hands up in the air at some point, but Domenico and LJ and Frank made it happen. But the hoops that they had to jump through with the city of Charlottesville to get that water meter installed and, the information that the city was requesting, to me was mind-boggling. And, we had a client, not my client, I represented the builder, but we had a buyer who had furniture on a truck ready to move in, and we couldn't get a certificate of occupancy for this buyer over an issue with the city not allowing the water meter to be installed because there were some other issues with the development of phase 3 of this property. So things like that don't make sense to me as far as finding solutions for homeowners, builders, realtors, developers to deliver more product to our clients in a more affordable mean.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So these are the multiple hats that I wear. I am personally engaged on one-on-one communications. And the best way that we can help with that is to do exactly what you're doing at the national level, but we just do it at the local level, right? You communicate with the Board of Supervisors, you communicate with the city councilors, and you explain to them what their actions or lack of actions or inactions are costing everybody. So everybody knows I sit on the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust. I'm excited to, and hopefully Judah can pull some up. We're actually getting really close to finally closing them. To be frank as I can be, we are months behind because of city issues.
You've got them on screen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're super proud of them. They're $215,000 net zero. These
They're
folks,
beautiful.
Absolutely. These people will not pay any electric bills. But what we're doing is thank you, man. We're engaging the buyers, because we have buyers for all those things, to engage their city councilor, to engage the NDS, Neighborhood Development Services, and say, hey, look, literally, they're going to be homeless if we don't get these things closed in a very short order.
You're saying they engage them to offer their firsthand perspective?
That's very much so. So what happens a lot of times, and I've been doing this for 30-something years, sometimes, let's say, staff doesn't want to listen to you and I, but they'll listen to the buyers.
And we did. Aaron Garcia was the buyer agent on the other side of this transaction, and I can't tell you the number of phone calls that we all made to the city to get this issue resolved. And to me, that's unconscionable that it takes that much effort to make something like this happen.
I was at a meeting yesterday with two city councilors, and I leaned over to them and I said, look, this may sound a little flippant, but I don't need money. I can find money. Money's easy to find. What I need is to point them to what they're doing in Portland and in Seattle with this green taping processes that they have. So I was trying to educate them a little bit about how they're attacking affordable housing. And again, I don't want to make necessarily the show all about affordable housing. We kind of went there a little bit on how they streamlined it and how they will, like for instance, at the Nassau Street, the city had a process which we got on the meter taps and all that stuff would only cost us $1,600 a unit versus $12,000. We had to walk this through. It took me a month of holding people's hands to actually get the credit because they didn't have the mechanism to do it. We have other projects from the land trust that we're trying to get money from other jurisdictions that they've allocated money, but they don't have a process to give it to us.
I don't know what the issue is at the city, but getting permits approved takes far too long. We had a structural issue at a house in Greenbrier. I lost a sale because it took 8 weeks before we could even get someone to respond to us to give the permit to do the structural work. So I think we've got to, as you said, we've got to be vocal about these issues.
Exactly
we've got to vote for people that respond to these issues and make things happen. I don't know what the answer is at the city, but we definitely need.
It's an education process. They have to, sometimes they don't understand the impact of their decisions, and they have to understand what the impacts of their decisions or their lack of decisions or their process. And I can tell you, I'm in the trenches on it. We are making forward progress. It is extremely slow forward progress, but I don't want anybody to come out of this discussion to think it's helpless, right?
Well, and what I'll say to the realtors who are listening, if you don't give to our PAC, give to our PAC. I don't have time to advocate for these issues 12 hours a day. We have lobbyists. We have Neil. We have people that work for the Realtor Party who can invest the time 12 hours a day to lobby on our behalf to get these issues addressed. So from my RPAC hat, I'll put back on. The Realtor Political Action Committee is something that every realtor should give to. $40 is all we ask of every realtor to give their fair share. The money is well spent. Keith and I were at Day on the Hill last week in Richmond. Our lobbyists for the Virginia Realtors do a phenomenal job working on your behalf every day. So I strongly encourage you. If you don't know what it is, ask me or Keith about it. We're happy to tell you. And we're happy to take your money too.
But that benefits everybody, right?
Everybody.
So this is something that we do as real estate agents through our organization and an association. But these decisions will affect everybody's value, and eventually, I attend them. I didn't attend it last year, but I've been doing it year after year, and it's great stuff.
We got a lot of comments come in.
Yeah.
We'll go a little bit longer.
Okay, it's up to you.
Yeah, let's go a little bit longer. I love the conversation. I love this.
Well, I mean, I knew that we were not going to be able to tap into that brain in 1 hour. So,
1 hour long form content, and we have so much more to get to.
And plus, I turned this over, which means we got to have fun.
We got to run the gauntlet.
We got to have fun.
I have a lot of comments.
There's fun
going.
yet, Debbie.
We're passionate.
I have some questions here. We'll give some love to Bill Tucker and Charlottesville Settlement Company and Pearl Certification. Charlottesville Settlement Company, a trusted advisor, and Pearl Certification, a leverage tool to market a piece of property.
Absolutely, and I've actually met with a couple of the Pearl folks, Cynthia, who was actually, and Joe, that were on our show individually. They're going to come on in March because they're releasing a really exciting new product that, as real estate agents, we can really help our clients. It's a little bit of a tease, but it's going to be a game changer. What we can provide our clients. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sarah Hill Buczynski, thank you, Denise, for all you do for us realtors. That's specifically in regards to health insurance for the association. Michael Guthrie watching the program, and he has some comments he'd like to relay.
Did you hear my comment about you being a mentor, Michael?
I think he did. He said the lack of inventory is more about existing homes than new construction. If there were more existing homes, there wouldn't have been approximately 20% of the new homes sold in 2019. He says the RPAC is money very, very well spent for all of us real estate agents. Wesley Amons of Duck Medic is watching the show and loving what he's hearing right now. James Watson has comments about the Ermit Ring. Neil Williamson is talking about the population of Albemarle County. Kyle Irvin, who is one of the top folks in Charlottesville Transit, Charlottesville Albemarle Transit, is watching now. He says, how often does transit proximity affect a home buyer's decision? I know that being close to public transit can increase property value, but I'm not sure how it's measured. We'd love to have a more active partnership with our local realtors and the Charlottesville Albemarle Realtors Association and Charlottesville Albemarle Transit. Roger Voight-Zay threw this on the feed.
To jump in, consider that done. I'm going to put that together.
Yeah, Kyle Irvin. I'll set up a direct message on Facebook with you guys. This is something that's come up on the show. Going to Waynesboro for a more affordable house because the cost of land is so much lower. Yes, you can save some money on the front end, but if you're working in the city of Charlottesville, you're going to burn that money on wear and tear on your car, fuel, and your most precious commodity, which is your time spent in a vehicle.
Well, and I'll share with you, I represent a lot of buyers and sellers, and the majority of people that I represent as buyers that are coming to Charlottesville are leaving Northern Virginia, leaving DC. They went to UVA. They have connections here. They want a slower pace of life. But many of them are telecommuting. So I would, and not to minimize the transportation issue, but I would say the biggest issue I deal with is broadband.
Oh, yeah.
It's internet availability. And we talked about this yesterday with Denver Riggleman, and he's very sensitive to this issue because so much of his district is rural. We have clients who love an area, and Sharon Merrick mentioned this yesterday. She deals with a lot of farms and estates. If you're not provided high-speed internet, you lose a sale, and the value of the property goes down. I would also say that transportation plays a key role, but I think more future-looking, it's more about connectivity because so many people choose to work from home or can work from home. So to me, that's a critical issue in our area because you can go into the Ivy area and go outside of the Rocks or Ragged Mountain and be in an area that's considered rural that you don't have high-speed internet.
The Rocks and Ragged?
Well, they do.
Okay.
They go outside of that.
Okay.
But it's amazing to see the desirability of some of these areas and the lack of ability to connect and telecommute.
So transportation is always an issue with at least any of our buyer clients. So Denise focuses a lot on listings. I'm more of a buyer agent guy. Yonna likes to do listings. It doesn't mean we don't cross the lines from time to time. But I will tell you, right up there is broadband and internet. So we had this conversation of where some of this growth is going to go. So I was going to jump in and propose this or ask this question.
There's so many comments
with
coming in right
with Congressman Riggleman, but the two counties that are really getting this right now is Nelson and Fluvanna. Right, Nelson already has many years ago put in a fiber backbone, which most folks don't know. So
The electric company's doing it. It's
well,
awesome.
and that was the next thing. So the Central Virginia Electric Co-op is doing it, and it's funny because it's affecting the buying side of it. So some folks will say, okay, we're looking at the map, it's going to be 2 years before that. I can do DSL for 2 years, right? And then once fiber comes in and it runs at, I'm not smart enough to understand all this, like 1,000,
fast.
whatever
Super
it is.
fast.
Super fast,
Super
yeah,
fast,
let's
yeah.
call it that.
Hold it, isn't that like a Jimmy John's or something?
Yeah, I think, no, that is...
Jimmy John's.
It is Jimmy John's,
Super
yeah,
fast,
super
yeah.
fast delivery, that's
Yeah.
right.
So you know, these... But I can tell you, because I said on the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, this broadband is always on the topic. This thing with the Central Virginia Electric Co-op has been years in the making. Albemarle County, Fluvanna County, there's certain counties that are all working together to make that happen. So I just don't want the impression that nothing is happening, right? So things...
Never fast enough for me, Keith.
Oh, yeah, and amen, sister.
Yeah.
But when you look at the transportation issue, I mean, Tony sells a lot more real estate in the Valley than I do, and he says that he's getting a lot of people who are going over the mountain just like they used to because of the affordability issue, but many of those people can telecommute. So I think that it's an issue that, you know, transportation does come up. When I have clients who are transportation challenged, I always talk about Jaunt, and they're shocked to know how affordable Jaunt is and how available it is. The biggest hindrance I think people find with Jaunt is that you have to schedule. You know,
So I'll give a little bit
transportation.
of additional shout out to the Planning District Commission, right? So we do the rideshare program for our jurisdiction, and the folks that run that over there at the commission are awesome. But we've been working on a sale, right? And we're actually back in Crozet. We were looking on the other side of the mountain. We did an ROI, return on investment, and we started looking at it for an extra 50,000. It's a big number, right?
Yeah.
But for an extra 50,000, they were able to get what they wanted in Crozet, because when we mapped out the numbers,
It's a no-brainer.
it becomes very easily, and then you have the quality of life and what you want to do.
And
what you
imagine
don't.
if a price of a gallon of gas goes up $1 like it did in 2008, or $1.25.
Just don't
then
even
it's-
say, what's wrong with you?
Then it's
Don't say that.
Here's the interesting thing. My brother and his family, my brother is the head of global creative at Snapchat.
Yeah.
And in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
they got rid of their car. They have 2 kids, no car.
Yeah, sure.
Live in Los Angeles.
I mean, but that's,
It's going to slowly come this way.
yeah, but, you know,
We will see.
I don't think we're ever going to get completely away from the car, but it's working that way.
Well, Peron Robotics is doing a great trial
Yeah.
out in the Crozet area. We see their
Sure.
driverless cars circling the Barnes Lumber Yard and through Old Trail. So, I mean, I think there are some exciting things happening that can help solve the transportation issue, but I would love to have more conversation, and I think Keith is going to make that happen as far as increasing the availability of public transportation into more of the county, because there's definitely a need, and you don't want people to make buying decisions who are, you know, baby boomers who are aging in place because they can't potentially drive in 5 years, and so that limits where they can live their life. So I think it's definitely something that as our population ages, as more boomers are
Retiring.
I have on the slate 2 Albemarle County Board of Supervisors that we're really only going to be focusing on transportation. There's going to be a month coming up where we're going to be focusing a lot on that, and love to have that conversation if you can set it up.
Love it, love it. Let's run the gauntlet with this lady, because I know her time is valuable.
You okay with
2
time?
more minutes?
Sure.
2 more minutes here. This portion of the program, thanks to Marie Bett, Jason and Patrick doing awesome things on Rose Hill Drive and on Water Street. Marie Bett on the set right now. You want to go first? Should I go first?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Okay, I'll throw a question to
There
her.
you go.
You went from Glenmore to Old Trail. Why did you go from Glenmore to Old Trail as someone who's looking at Glenmore as we speak?
It was a personal reason.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I love it. I love it. My boys graduated from Western Albemarle High School. They started at Henley. There's a strong sense of community there. I have great friends in Glenmore. I just sold a beautiful house on Darby in Glenmore. I love Glenmore. It's probably one of the prettiest neighborhoods.
A lot of value there.
Oh, yeah. And the ladies at the gate are the same ladies that were there 15 years ago when I lived there. They do a great job. So there are a lot of great places to live in Albemarle County. I've lived in Earlysville. That's how I know Mary McCumsey. When I first moved here, we lived up in Laughlin's Glen. Beautiful neighborhood. Have great friends up there. So, you know, I feel fortunate that I've covered the county in my home ownership. I'm in my fourth home in Old Trail.
You just need South Side now.
Yes, I need to move to North Garden. But there are a lot of great areas in the county. So, you know, I like Western Albemarle. I loved Glenmore when I was there. My boys loved it. It's a great community.
So, quick thing, we're going to ask a question. First thing that comes to your mind. Don't overthink it. And you're a quick thinker anyway, so this will go well. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, and why?
I think from my dad and mom, and that was work hard every day, do your best every day, and obviously it's simple, but I think the people that I am surrounded with who are successful in life and happy in life live that every day.
Good
So that's what I try to do.
Favorite restaurant in Charlottesville or Albemarle County, and why?
Dooners. I love
Yeah,
Dooners.
Laura Bonner.
Laura's great. I love Dooners. I think it's wonderful. I love the fact that they're on Open Table now and you can make reservations. That's a huge plus.
Oh, that's new. That's news.
Yeah,
How
it's
long has that
great.
been?
So when we have a date night, that's where we go.
Cool. Sitting at the bar, what's your drink of choice?
A dirty martini.
Nice.
Some blue
Vodka
cheese
or gin?
olives, vodka.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Why
I love
dirty?
drink.
Just a little bit dirty.
Okay,
Just a
got
little
it.
bit.
I like the saltiness.
I'm-
That's the go-to.
Oh, excuse me?
That's the go-to question.
Yeah, so it's funny.
I love this question.
Yeah. So I was at a car board meeting, and our new president did a roundtable with everybody and asked this question. I was flattered that he did that.
He took your question?
He took my question. I called him out on it. by
I
the way.
hope you did.
So you're on a deserted island, and you're only allowed to bring one book with you. What would that book be?
Oh, gosh.
I will preface this. It's a bit of a trick question.
Yeah. I mean, I think the obvious answer for most people is probably the Bible, but
It's a good answer.
I don't know. I mean, I love to read, and as long as I had my phone
one
or my
book.
Kindle with me, I
No.
wouldn't be limited, right?
This is an actual book. You got to book.
Have to be something long. I don't
Okay.
know. I guess I would have to stick with the Bible because it take me forever to read
You
it.
know, the Bible.
Can't go wrong with that.
I will tell you, a good percentage of the folks that we ask that question do that, and it could be considered.
Yeah.
It could be considered the same thing.
So can I give some props to Keith before we wrap up?
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, Keith and I sat on the CEO search committee for Carr. When Ann Gardner left, we had
I'm uncomfortable with this.
6 or 8 of us that Teely Jennifer, our president at the time, asked to serve on this committee. And I hadn't really had the opportunity to work with Keith one-on-one in a small group like that. And Keith is a great example of people who passionately serve for the right reasons. And he was passionate about the search, passionate about, you know, his values and what he felt like our members wanted in a CEO. And so we're fortunate. We're really fortunate to have people like Keith volunteering and serving our realtor members. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you,
Thank you.
asking me to come and visit
you.
with you guys. And I appreciate what you do for the, you know, all the other roles you serve on. I know you're on 3 or 4 other boards.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, away from your family. All the realtor volunteers out there, I appreciate what you do. Our community is better for what you all do. So I really appreciate
So the Catholic in me is now uncomfortable, but
Well,
thank
that's okay.
you.
That's okay. Thanks for what you do, and thanks
Thank
for the
you.
time you
Thank
invested
you.
in that. I think props to Abby Tamman, our new CEO. I'm
Sure.
really excited that we were able to hire someone locally and internally. We interviewed some great candidates from all over the country. We had one candidate from Montana and one from North Carolina.
She was a good hire.
But Abby does a great job and serves our members
hire.
well. So, and
So
if you-
to go back to the book thing, so that you know, the answer is a survival manual.
there you go. See,
That's That's the Marine in him.
I wasn't
That's
a
the
Girl Scout long
jarhead.
enough.
That's the jarhead in me. I was kind of hoping since your dad was Navy, you kind of would have worked your way around that
Probably
way.
would have said that.
Yeah.
Janet Lorenz Miller said, Denise, you were on fire today. Inspiring conversation.
Love you, Janet.
We're not going to get to these comments. There are too many comments, and our time is very valuable. We'll close the program by saying Real Talk is powered by the Yes Team. It airs Fridays at 10:15 on the I Love CVille Network. For those that are literally asking where they can watch the show in totality, we will archive it on ilovecville.com, and for 2 weeks following today's program, we'll syndicate it across our network, which is 17 Facebook pages, 17 Twitter accounts, an e-newsletter that goes out to 125,000 email inboxes every morning at 11 a.m. We'll turn it into an iTunes podcast by close of business today, put it on the third largest Instagram in the community. This show is all about making real estate concepts more approachable, transparent, and helping you understand what's happening in our community. And it's powered by the Yes Team. Enjoy your morning.
Thank you, brother.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Good work.
I was going to give you props too at the end of it, but
Good work.
I was too slow.
We're gonna hug.
We got to do that real quick, and then we'll get you out of here, Denise.